He's the mascot and he gives you Pokeballs. A friend ball? It's friend-shaped.
It seems like just yesterday we sent my girlfriend on her first Pokemon adventure through Fire Red. And today, she's finally made it all the way to the Switch.
Ooh, this is like Crystal. Oh my god. Actually, wait, I didn't play Crystal.
Pokemon Sword and Shield released in 2019 and were kind of a big deal since they marked the first mainline games to be released on a home console instead of a handheld. Obviously, there's some room for debate on whether or not the Switch can be considered a handheld, but the point is that these games were a big jump forwards in hardware for the series, and Game Freak experimented with some neat stuff to take advantage of that.
Whoa! Wait, we are in a sports stadium. Are you kidding me? Welcome, one and all, to the wonderful world of Pokemon. Is this Dapper Lad the professor?
The Galar region is the setting for the 8th generation of Pokemon, and this time it's heavily inspired by the United Kingdom.
Oh, is this like an arena battle situation? So it's not soccer, football, or horse polo.
Several innovative features were included to help modernize the series and bring it up to speed with contemporary gaming. But I remember these games sparked some controversy back in the day when they first came out. I guess we'll just have to send our leading lady in and see if playing them for the first time still holds up today.
Whoa, this is a gorgeous world!
So enough rambling about the past. It's time to leap into the future and test her Pokemon skills to the max. Because this time, I made my girlfriend play Pokemon Sword.
Pokemon Sword! What the hell is a Dynamax?
Unlike the Pokemon Leagues of other regions, the Galar League is formatted as an annual sporting competition. And right from the get-go, Pokemon Sword wastes no time introducing us to the region's champion, Leon.
Oh, wow. Oh, you look cool.
My girlfriend is actually neighbors with Leon and is friends with his younger brother Hop. Hop serves as one of her rivals in this game, and he dreams of one day surpassing his older brother.
Wait, so does your brother have a Charizard and you have a sheep?
There's a lot of emphasis put on Leon early on because the game wants to establish how important he is to the people of this region.
I can't help but notice that there isn't a picture of Hop on the mantle. Clearly they're paying favorites. Because look at that, there's all these like trophies and medals.
My girlfriend and Hop are asked to go and pick him up from the train station, and by the time they get there, there's already a swarm of people fawning over him because he's such a big deal.
He's doing his pose! And the whole town is going wild. Do you think that he had to buy a ticket for Charizard to go on the train too?
He's not just a champion, but an older brother, and that makes him someone who they can look up to.
So my #1 fan in all the world has come out of his way to pick me up. Look at you, Hop. I reckon you've grown exactly 1.25 inches since the last time I saw you. Oh, Hop is such a proud little brother.
If the game didn't succeed at building his reputation already, he's actually the one in charge of giving her a starter Pokemon in this generation.
Wait, am I gonna be getting my starter from Lee the champion?
I'll just flat out say it. I knew exactly which Pokemon she was going to pick this time around. It's true that all 3 of these guys are cute in their own right.
Yeah, that's literally my face. I'm that excited.
But one had a significant advantage by virtue of carrying a stick.
I had an instant connection as soon as one of them came out of the ball. Eee, Grookey!
What can I say? I know my girlfriend.
Oh, he is so excited that I chose him.
Somewhat incredibly, for the first time since Generation 2, my girlfriend is going with another grass starter. I like to think that Baby Bach and Romaine are somewhere smiling right now.
Yes, I want to name Grookey.
Since this is a Nuzlocke, she's required to name the Pokemon, which, by the way, did I mention this is a Nuzlocke? If you don't know the rules by now, you haven't been paying close enough attention. But just as a quick reminder, when a Pokemon faints, it can't be used anymore, and she can only use her first encounter in an area. Sword and Shield adds some complications to this formula, but I'll be addressing them later on when we quite literally run into the problem.
Sorry, didn't see you there.
Speaking of problems, my girlfriend finally settled on a name for Grookey, but there's a bit of a holdup.
I'm gonna do bongos. Little bongos, my Grookey. Why can't I enter that name?
Due to Nintendo's censorship, bongos did not work as a proper nickname.
Are you kidding me, Nintendo?
Naming these guys is kind of her favorite part of the videos, and feeling stubborn and attached to the name she came up with, Girl decided to get clever and circumvent the censorship.
Come on. Yeah! Take your censorship and eat it, Nintendo.
Hop has a long way to go if he ever wants to beat his brother because he picks the starter with the disadvantage against hers. A trend she'll continue seeing in these games.
We just high-fived!
Regardless, she has her first battle with him, and Bongos proves to be a good choice.
Come on, Bongos, use your branch. Yeah!
Not all is well though, as some Wooloo have wandered off into the forest behind where they live. Hop and my girlfriend head into the slumbering weald to see if they can track them down, but there's this thick fog that makes it difficult to see anything.
We're going into the mist, it's spooky.
While they're poking around looking for the Wooloo, they encounter a strange nameless Pokemon.
What are you?
Girl battles it, but can't even lay a scratch on it.
Let's poke it with our stick. That literally did nothing.
Thankfully, it runs away, and just in time for Leon to find us and the lost Wooloo.
Charizard found the Wooloo! You know, in any other story, that dragon would be eating the sheep. But I'm glad that in this one, they're friends.
With that preamble out of the way, it's time to finally get this adventure started good and proper. Kind of.
I'm glad that someone bothered to tell me. Classic mom guilt trip.
My girlfriend has to make an obligatory trip to her mom to let her know she's going on a journey, and with the gifted Pokeball she's handed as a reward, the lock officially starts proper.
Only in Scotland could they coax me into going the long route by blocking the path with sleeping sheep.
Heading into Route 1, my girlfriend has her first encounter with this generation's bird.
Oh, I just literally ran into this bird.
I'm pretty sure this has been her first encounter in most of the games in this series, but having a solid flying type on the team is never a bad thing.
Rookity, you're coming home with me.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like every other game, the bird is an absolute powerhouse. And the good news for her is that Gen 8 is an even number.
So I can see the Pokemon. Wild.
Her first stop is the town just north of here called Wedgehurst. There are many things of note here, but the most important stop is Professor Magnolia's lab.
I like Sonia. And her turquoise fingernails matches her shirt.
This is where she's able to get her Pokedex, as well as access to this generation's battle gimmick called Dynamax.
She does not give a rat's ass that he's the champion. She's just like, dude, you are so lost.
The professor's granddaughter, Sonia, gives her the dex and then asks her to visit Magnolia in her home.
Oh my gosh, is this Sonia's bedroom? Nick, look how much nail polish she has.
It's there that she and Hop have another battle, when miraculously, a star falls right next to where they're standing.
Ooh, it's like literally right here. Wow.
The professor is able to use the fragment to craft the two of them Dynabands. Dynabands are what allow her to Dynamax her Pokemon. It's a one-time transformation in battle that lasts 3 turns and allows the Pokemon to use max moves. The catch is that unlike Mega Evolution and Z moves, the Pokemon can only Dynamax when they're in stadiums. All the gym and league challenges take place in Galar stadiums though, so we'll be seeing plenty of maxed out Pokemon in the important battles.
I will be the greatest trainer ever!
Speaking of the stadiums, in order to participate in the league, challengers need to find an endorsement. Now thankfully, she has an in with the region's champion, and Leon's nice enough to endorse her.
Leon!
We're not quite done with the formalities just yet though, and the last thing to do before she can finally start tackling gym leaders is she needs to go to Motostoke for the opening ceremony.
Oh, we're on an adventure!
Between her and that city is her first encounter with the wild area. This is one of the big changes in Generation 8. There are these vast open areas where wild Pokemon roam freely depending on the time and weather. The pools of Pokemon she can find and capture in this area of the game are vast, and to be honest, a little overwhelming. The good news is she doesn't have to tackle it all at once.
There are so many things.
Girl was given some Pokédolls back at the Pokemon Center, which will come in handy here in the Wild Zone. There are Pokemon of much higher level than her roaming around, and those dolls are her best way to escape from them.
Oh my gosh, a giant Onix!
At the moment, she can't catch anything higher than level 20, so unless she wants to get wiped by an angry Onix, running is usually her best strategy. Speaking of capturing, the Nuzlocke rules get a little funky in the Wild Zones. The zones are divided into multiple subsections, which she'll be allowed to catch Pokemon from, but rather than give her them all at once, she'll be able to do a new one each time she gets a gym badge. That seems to be the best way to go about it.
I know I should probably like stick my head in one of these holes, but I don't feel like getting smacked by a Dynamaxing Pokemon.
The other hiccup that I alluded to earlier is that Pokemon are straight up walking around in this game. She can see the encounters before approaching them, which sort of eliminates the whole use what you get aspect of these playthroughs.
This guy, he's going in circles.
There's something inherently fun and whimsy about seeing the Pokemon roaming around in the wild though. And who am I to spoil her fun?
Oh my god, Chai! Chai! Did you see Chai recognized?
I wasn't particularly strict about making her only use grass encounters because I really enjoyed the wonder she'd have sneaking up on a Pokemon she'd never seen before. It's her first playthrough, so I think we can cut her a break.
Oh, he loves cooking. Fried noodles! Everyone is trying to make me very hungry.
Not to mention, there's still some randomness because a lot of times she'd accidentally crash into a Pokemon she didn't even see in the first place. I guess in a way, she wasn't picking her encounter, they were picking her.
Look, he's asking me to play with him! Come on, Yamper, you're coming home with me! Yamper requested me.
After finally arriving in Motostoke, she can head to the stadium for the opening ceremony. At least she would have if she didn't spot the hair salon as soon as she walked in.
Ah!
Yes, character customization is back, and this game did a great job with it. We're gonna be here for a long time, but I'll spare you all the details so we can get back to her adventure.
She looks perfect!
What I will say is that part of why this took so long was that Taryn loved her new hairstyle so much, she went and styled her hair to match it so she could play the game while looking like her character.
Oh my gosh, look at they bounce when I run! This is so me!
After some more duty-free shopping and meeting some of the other competitors, my girlfriend has an encounter with Team EL. These guys aren't exactly an evil team in the traditional sense. Instead, they're just aggressively hyped fans for one of the other competitors named Marnie, who's another rival to my girlfriend.
Man, the concierge looks so concerned. I'm sorry, man. I promise, once these guys stop making a ruckus, I'll be a really quiet guest.
After a quick battle with the loudmouths, she's able to settle the commotion and finally get to the commencement.
I'll have to wear the outfit. Hop, we gotta go get changed, bud.
I have to give the game some credit. It's a bit of a slow burn, and it might take a little bit too long to get here, but once you do, the game delivers.
Here they come! Whoa!
They really went for the big spectacle with this entry, and I can appreciate that. The League Challenge really feels like this region-wide tradition. Walking out on the green with all the stadium lights and cameras flashing. If my girlfriend wasn't hyped before, she sure was hyped now.
I'm going out to start my gym challenge! Eee! Oh my gosh, I would be so nervous. I would like get to the end of this whole thing and be like, what just happened? And just like not remember anything because I basically passed out the whole time. What? That's literally what happened. She literally is me.
Okay, we're finally going to get some gym badges now. There's a set order to how you conquer the gyms, and the first one on our hit list is the grass gym in Turf Field. She's got to work her way through the mines to get there, and with that comes its own challenges.
Whoa, the mines look amazing.
For one thing, she meets another competitor named Bede who specializes in psychic types. He ends up not being much of a problem thanks to a Yarny she picked up earlier.
Assessing my options. This is why I have to play Nuzlocke. It's like, Taryn, just don't overthink it. Just get a guy.
Speaking of, I totally forgot to mention this. While she was shopping and trying on different clothes, she actually ended up taking the train back from Motostoke to Wedgehurst, and while she was there, she met this woman that seemed to be dressed like she was important, as well as this slowpoke.
Yeah, you see this lady. And then there's this special Yarny.
Spot the stand user.
Exactly. Spot the stand user.
I don't know that we've ever mentioned it before, but Taryn loves slowpokes because she likes to sleep in the same position as them on our couch.
Yo, he wants me to take the Yarny with him. I want to bring the Yarny with me.
So anyways, this isn't just any old slowpoke. It's a Galarian regional variant. Remember those from Sun and Moon?
This is amazing. Well, now I have a water type. This is great.
Galar has plenty of its own regional forms that she'll be coming across on her journey. She ended up catching this one in the station as a favor to the stand user, and that's how she added Yarny the slowpoke to the team.
Wow, amazing. The way you caught that slowpoke was the absolute coolest. Thank you. She has pink hair, so she knows what she's talking about.
Yarny hardwalls Bede's psychic type, so I guess in a weird way, all the shopping was important to her playthrough after all.
Well, now I have a Yarny, so this is great. I have team 4, and Yarny's already level 12, so I don't have to do like crazy leveling with her.
Her encounter inside of the cave was a Roly-Coly, which she named Minecart and added to the squad for some extra firepower.
He's so funny.
My girlfriend's always had a soft spot for the rock type, ironically.
He's mine! Roly-Coly was caught.
On the other side of the cave, she finally finds Turf Town and the first gym battle.
We're almost there, Gym Challenger. Oh, do you see the arena over there? It looks so cool. Okay, I'm gonna come back to Route 4. I want to get to the Pokemon Center.
Eager to get badge number 1, she went straight for the stadium to have her battle. Grass isn't a big threat to her team as her grass starter resists it and her bird can hit it super effectively. Each of the gym battles in this game feel like a big event, and even this first one with level 15 Pokemon feels like some kind of dramatic spectacle.
Were they watching me chase sheep on the big screen?
The way the crowds cheer when the gym leader walks out has me feeling like I'm watching my girlfriend getting ready for a kickoff. The best part of this is that she finally gets to see how Dynamax works.
Let's do it. Max Airstream. Yo! Come on, Delta! Come on, Delta! Whoa! I needed 2 hands for that one. Delta's giant! Oh my gosh! Max Airstream!
Milo goes down without a hitch, and if you ask me, I think he was taking it easy on her.
Yeah! Good work, Delta! Good work, Bongos! That was epic!
Regardless, victory earns her a gym badge and puts her one step closer to becoming the champion of the league.
Oh, that's neat. I'm like making a circle.
In true Pokemon fashion, she's also awarded a TM and perhaps more importantly, a new outfit.
That's fun.
At first she thought she'd be able to change gym competition outfits because of this reward, but unfortunately that's just not the case. It's a real shame considering they added so many cool jerseys to the game, but it's a point that's already been talked to death since the game's release, so I'll leave it be. All I'll comment on the matter is that girl was disappointed she couldn't rep the steel type suit because she's a diehard steel trainer through and through.
Okay, I'm gonna be a steel type trainer. Tarny the steel type trainer. Eee!
With Milo beaten, she's going to continue north to Holberry in her second gym battle. Now that we're moving, the game is going to start picking up the pace a bit.
Whoa, what are those guys just drifting in the wind? That's so funny.
Holberry is home to the water type gym, and since she's rocking a grass starter, this ought to be the easiest of the first 3 for her to tackle. Nessa has one more Pokemon than Milo, but unfortunately her ace is quad weak to grass. So even in its Dynamax form, it couldn't stand up to Bongos.
Let's go, buddy! Bongos is not messing around.
Now that she has 2 badges under her belt, she can head back south to Motostoke and tackle the fire gym.
I can't keep the chairman waiting, but I gotta go make some dinner.
She's going to take the scenic route and cut through the mines on her way back. Once again, Bede is in here waiting for a second battle, and I've been waiting for this one for a long time.
Such a pompous ass. Someone needs to take him down a few notches, and it might even be me.
Bede's added some members to his team since her last encounter with him, and one of them in particular is guaranteed to get a good reaction.
What? Ponyta looks amazing! My little Ponyta. I need one. Oh my god. Because at first I was like, wait a second, he's a psychic type trainer. Why is he sending out a Ponyta that's fire? Ponyta had a glow up!
If you couldn't tell, she was a little excited about Ponyta's new Galarian form. Almost immediately, she started theory crafting how she could fit the psychic horse into her team, and that's when I had to break the tragic news to her.
No! Okay, you need to buy Shield immediately and trade me.
Ponyta is exclusive to Pokemon Shield, so she won't be able to get one in this playthrough. Although the news was devastating, she was relieved that at least she wouldn't have to choose between Slowpoke and Ponyta for her Psychic-type Pokemon.
That's evil. I would have gotten Shield if I'd known Ponyta was in Shield. Are you kidding me? That's bullshit.
On her way out of the cave, she meets the Fire-type gym leader and also snags another encounter when she accidentally tripped over a Stunfisk on her way out.
Oh, fun. I told you, they're just on the ground.
This is a Galarian Stunfisk, but I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't know if Terran ever encountered a regular one in the first place.
Revenge, sir.
Either way, his Galarian forms picked up a steel typing, so she definitely had room for him on the squad. Welcome to the team, Flatiron.
Yeah, Stunfisk.
The fire gym has been a little bit of a scary one for her since her grass and steel types are at a disadvantage. The saving grace here was her minecart, who after evolving picked up a fire typing of his own and became a perfect hard counter to fire type Pokemon. He could resist the fire type attacks and hit them back super effectively with his rock moves.
Come on, minecart, it's time. Become a volcano. Come on, minecart. I get so hyped during this part.
The ace for Kabu is a fire bug, which is mega weak to rock as well, so once again, my girlfriend skates by with 0 casualties.
The rock just falls. It goes to mush. Squash the bug.
She's been playing a smart and safe game so far, but hopefully the girlfriend good luck doesn't run out in the northern half of the region.
What's up, Hop? Tarny, I figured if anyone could do it, you and HeartGold could be the one, but still, that match had me right on the edge of my seat.
With the first 3 gym leaders down, the world opens up a bit. She'll be heading through the wild area to get to the next city, and she's actually due for a couple of encounters if she's interested.
And yeah, you could certainly rush straight there without a single detour, but now that you and I have a few gym badges, we should be able to catch stronger Pokemon.
In true girlfriend fashion, she was way more excited about getting to the new area than catching new Pokemon in the wild area. So she opted to save the encounters for later, which, spoiler alert, we won't be coming back for.
Yeah! They were chasing after me! Pedal faster, Tarny! Pedal faster!
That may or may not be thanks to her getting almost immediately distracted by the clothing store in Hammerlock.
But I do feel like the socks and the shirt, you were kind of right about that. Them matching. The purple sweater's cute as well.
After nabbing a new skirt and sweater, it was time to get down to brass tacks. The gym is actually located north of here in a town called Stow-on-Side, and she'll need to get through Route 6 first.
Yeah, I guess I'm not doing the gym yet. We're like going on to Route 6 to do something.
That should have been light work, right? Well, yes, but the problem was this woman she encountered and her metronome spamming Clefairy.
Metronome! Oh god. Flash cannon. I need to get this guy out of here. Would there be a better Pokemon to go to? He's an agent of chaos.
She sent out Yarny to try and hit it with acid, but it rolled Pollen Puff on Metronome, a powerful bug type attack. And sadly, Yarny was no more. The first death of a playthrough is always a tough pill to swallow, and somewhat frustrated, Girl threw in the towel and decided to have some lunch.
Come on, Yarny. Oh, good work, honey.
When she came back, she decided it was time to take on the gym.
Okay, let's do this. Fighting gym, baby, let's go.
Since this is Sword, this is a fighting type gym, which stung a bit extra since she just lost a psychic type in Yarny, who would have been a great option for the battle. Still, nonetheless, she had a bird, so not all was lost.
Y'all ready for this?
She planned to use some good old-fashioned setup strats to get through this, since she didn't have a Pokemon to pivot to if things got scary. She lowered Bia's lead with Charm on her dog, and then swapped into Delta and set up Hone Claws.
Come on, Delta. Oh! Sorry, him on top.
It proved to be a bonkers strat, and not even Giga Flex could stand in her way of victory.
I want to see Giant Flex. Oh my gosh, he's giant! Come on, Delta. And the crowd goes wild. Good work, Delta!
Now that she's picked up some speed, these gym badges are coming in hot. Upon exiting the gym, there's this loud crash outside, and my girlfriend goes to investigate.
What was that? We better go check it out immediately.
She finds none other than Bede, who's attempting to destroy a mural in an attempt to apparently find more wishing stars.
Yeah, he's trying to destroy national monuments, and I don't appreciate it.
After taking him out, Chairman Rose shows up with his assistant, and they disqualify him from the gym challenge.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's what you get for being a dum-dum, Bede. Actions have consequences, Bede, you little shit. I'm so glad. Wasn't I saying earlier someone needs to put him in his place? Ah!
After all that, the mural crumbles away and reveals 2 hidden statues behind it in the shape of Galar's legendary Pokemon.
There's a dog with a sword and a dog with a shield.
They're suspiciously friend-shaped, but my girlfriend isn't willing to explore that idea further at the moment because she wants to explore the fairy forest behind the town instead. Fortunately, that's where our next gym is, so let's get to it.
Glimwood Tangle. Okay, so I need to go. Doesn't this look cool? The one thing I remembered about this game was mushrooms.
Somewhere inside of the Glimwood Tangle, she can find Balam Leah. Easier said than done, as not only are there a ton of trainers to battle in the woods, but there are several distracting glowing mushrooms along the way too.
Boing! This is my favorite thing right now. Boing! Boing!
Her encounter for the forest is an Impidimp, which means she finally has a much needed fairy on the team.
Okay, what am I gonna name this little guy? Fairy Dark? Dark Fairy. Rumpelstiltskin.
It's around this point that a lot of Pokemon are evolving and reaching their final stages. Not only is it cool seeing what they turn into, but it's also a nice power spike for her team at this stage of the game.
Oh my gosh, my Bongos wants to evolve! Ah, Bongos, what are you gonna look like, buddy? Whoa! God, you're really playing the Bongos. Rillabomb. Rillaboom.
Fittingly, the Magic Mushroom Town is home to the Fairy Gym. You already know that girl loves her steel types, and with Corviknight evolved, she's walking into the battle with a plan.
You look so handsome, Delta. Yeah, let's learn steel. Oh, I meant to go do the move, remember, and take away Charm and learn Crunch.
Even still, the linchpin of her strategy in this battle is going to be Flatiron the Stunfisk.
Yeah. Well, and he's a physical attacker, 71, so he shouldn't be using a special move either.
On the way in, the gym leader mentions she's looking for a successor to the gym. My girlfriend would have been a good choice, but I think Opal might need to keep looking.
Though you really are lacking in the color pink. I agree. I had no say in the outfit, ma'am.
Not for a lack of pink, but because she's addicted to cold hard steel.
Oh my gosh, I'm on a stage. She's has her tea.
This gym is fun and plays on the quiz question style gyms from previous gens, but instead frames them as an interview for my girlfriend's audition to be the next gym leader.
I mean, Nick, it's my dream to be the fairy type gym leader. It's fairy, psychic, or steel. Those are like, I would love to be the gym leader for either of those, or any of those types.
Rather than quizzing the player and punishing them with a battle for incorrect answers, they ask her questions during the battle instead. When answering correctly, the Pokemon gets a nice stat boost, which is a fun gimmick.
Think carefully before answering, though, child. If you get the wrong answer, the stats of your Pokemon will get lowered. But if you answer correctly, your Pokemon will get a stat boost.
This extends into the battle with Opal herself, where she can answer questions to help her Stunfisk snowball even harder. The questions are a little goofy, but girl knows exactly what Opal wants to hear.
How old am I? Definitely 16, ma'am. Yeah! Mature women have always liked me.
At the end, she Gigantamaxes her Pokemon into a giant cake, but unfortunately for her, my girlfriend's Stunfisk was hungry.
Did you see how proud he was? Your pink is still lacking, but you're an excellent trainer with some excellent Pokemon. Thank you, Opal. You should see my outfit when I'm not wearing my uniform.
After the dust settles, Opal offers to accompany her back to Hammerlock, since that's where they're headed next. They end up bumping into Beat again, and his outfit is just pink enough for Opal's tastes.
You know what? You two actually look like you could fit well together. Time for my gym mission, child!
She picks him as her protege and decides to train him to be her replacement so she can finally retire. It kind of works perfectly since Psychic and Fairy are the two pink typings.
He actually fits the part perfectly, especially because he already has Psychic Pokemon.
But hopefully Opal can train some manners into him while she's at it.
Bye, Opal. Please talk some sense into this rascal.
There's trouble afoot though, and my girlfriend's ready to spring into action.
There was an explosion.
However, Leon and Sonia are going to take care of it on their own.
Oh, okay, so you guys are gonna handle that. But that sounds fun.
It's one of the gripes a lot of people have with the game. The player feels a lot less important in this one and doesn't have a lot of agency. She's not saving the world, but sitting by and watching the NPCs do it at many points. Anyways, back to the gym challenge.
Whoa, what a guy. Not very fast. Oh, that was a crit duck. Okay, let's just heal up and just be chill.
Infinite TMs have been a thing since Gen 5, and Pokemon Sword has taken some steps to try and balance things. They're still infinite, but TRs, or technical records, have been implemented alongside them, which are single use. Moves across the board in this game have been made easier to use though. For one thing, there's the move tutor in every Pokemon Center, which makes forgetting and relearning moves so much easier.
It's really cool. You can just kind of like willy-nilly whenever you want, switch it around, so I've been having fun. I haven't felt pressure to like keep some things. Like I got rid of Screech for something on the drummy one on Bing Bong. On bongos.
Girl made a lot of use of this, a lot more than I would have expected. She's definitely grown as a player, and I like watching the strategies she comes up with.
You can't flatten what's already flat.
After making it to town, she learned the next gym was a rock-type one. Now, realizing that she's made it all the way to Badge 5 without a single water-type on her team, she decided it might be a good time to backtrack and hunt for Pokemon on some of the routes she skipped. She opted to fish on the one she could to try and find a water-type from Galar, but ended up stumbling upon something even cooler in the grass. Farfetch'd has a regional variant that's a fighting type, so she decided to ditch her plan to find a water Pokemon and use her new bird to beat the rock gym instead.
Survive and welcome to the team.
He more than proves his worth in her dramatic battle with Gordy and earns his place on the team.
Leaks are just built different here. Cool. Maybe I'll get a crit. I probably got a crit! Yeah! Go, Farfetch'd, go!
After her gym match, she runs into Sonya outside and is invited out to lunch. Research on the legendary Sword and Shield Pokemon of the region continues, and Hop suggests that maybe that one they ran into in the Wild all the way back at the beginning of the game may be related to the legend.
Yeah, the Sword and the Shield are definitely some Pokemon. Good on ya, Hop.
Despite my girlfriend's impulse to gaslight him into thinking that never happened, Sonya decides to go and have a look for herself.
Come on, you know what I'm talking about, right, Tarny? I really don't.
In the meantime, we're going to head on to Route 9 to the next gym challenge.
They're both hands, and look at that, that's so cute.
Now down the road a bit, she finds Team Yell accosting the scientist who gave her her bike earlier. They're blocking his path, so he offers to upgrade her bike in exchange for taking these thugs out. This is functionally a replacement for Surf, which is pretty neat.
Water mode. Ah! Fish are jumping out of the water. They're trying to fight me. Whee! Ah! I was trying to avoid it, but he came out of nowhere. That Whalmer came out of nowhere.
Spikemuth is closed off for some reason, and no one can challenge the gym. Marnie calls my girlfriend over and explains that she's from the town and knows a secret way in.
Hey, Tarny, what's up, Marnie? Tarny and Marnie.
The two girls have a battle before she reveals her secret, though.
Hello. I was born here, so I know another way in. This is where you were born? Yo. I just read on her card earlier that she wants to make it a happier place.
With Marnie defeated, she can finally access the town. Team Yell hasn't really been a criminal organization like the evil teams of prior games. It is more of just a nuisance team similar to Team Skull. The gym and Spikemuth are run by Team Yell, and so the challenge itself is just a long hallway of battles with Team Yell members. Basically, they all want Marnie to win the championship challenge, so they've been causing tons of trouble to try and impede the other challengers. Marnie is understandably annoyed by this and tells my girlfriend to go and battle her brother to get them to knock it off.
Oh, Tarny. So I'm really sorry. A lot of Spikemuths telling me they locked down the city for my sake.
My girlfriend's Rumpelstiltskin that she caught all the way back in Ballenlea has finally had a glow up and evolve, just in time for this gauntlet of Dark-type trainers. Ever since it became a thing in Gen 6, having a fairy on the team has been such a godsend for these playthroughs. Stiltskin makes quick work of the grunts on the way to the gym leader, and he puts in some serious work in her battle with Piers as well.
Bye, Scrafty.
This gym battle is interesting because there's no way to Dynamax in it. Usually my girlfriend has a plan or strategy for tanking those big max hits from her opponents, but this is much more of a standard gym battle.
Whoa! Wow! That looks crazy.
With that said, it proves to be much easier because of that, and she earns herself her Dark Badge.
I've done 7 gyms. Go, me and Rumpelstiltskin! We're cheering!
Following the battle, there's some kind of commotion outside, and my girlfriend goes to investigate. Leon's there, already taking care of it once again, and like a broken record, he encourages her to continue focusing on her gym challenge.
Tarny, thanks for coming. I've got a handle on this.
Whatever's making that noise, I'll see to it. I already told you, didn't I? Keep an eye on the goal. And for that, that's winning the gym challenge. Leon, let me help, damn it. I'm the protagonist.
My girlfriend accuses him of being a tease and demands that he treat her as the protagonist that she is.
If Leon says, just focus on my gym challenge, I'm gonna bop him. I'd expect nothing less from you and your Charizard, Leon. You took down that Dynamax Pokemon in no time at all. Okay, does someone at least have pictures?
Apparently there was some kind of red light and all the local Pokemon started to Dynamax on their own. Leon made headlines by taking them out and saving the day, which is good and all, but Taryn felt like he was kind of hogging the limelight from her.
I appreciate the thought. This man is getting junk punched. All I could ever ask of you would be that you join me in the greatest final match ever? He doesn't understand women at all.
Regardless, there's not much else to do now but focus on the final gym battle against the Dragon Gym. I don't know how she's managed to make it all the way to the 8th gym without catching a single water type to add to her team, but using ice attacks on Dragon Pokemon is a canon event. Realizing she didn't have anything on her team that could learn Ice Beam, she started panicking. She asked me what route she could catch my favorite water type from the Galar region, and I imparted her forbidden boyfriend knowledge on how the fossils work in this gen.
Hello, lady. I want a dragon fish.
Technically, the fish fossil is a Shield exclusive, but you can randomly find it from one of the Digging Brothers in the wild area. Anything to get her to go back there. Digging costs watts, and the best way to earn those is by doing raid battles. So I guess it's finally time to discuss how those work. There are these things called raid dens scattered throughout the wild area, and searching the ones with beams coming out of them will prompt her to begin a raid battle. Raids are a 4-on-1 fight where a team of players work together to defeat a rogue Dynamaxed Pokemon. There are different difficulties for raids, and completing them allows you to capture the Pokemon and get some neat rewards like XP candies. It's a fun little collaborative system, but oh boy do some of the cracks show if you're a girlfriend playing the game half a decade after release. For one thing, no one is doing these things anymore, so our leading lady is subjected to the dreaded NPC companions for these battles. These guys are a total mixed bag. There are some good ones and some bad ones.
They actually both brought in fighting types. Hell yeah.
When you get the kid who uses a Magikarp, you'll be breathing a sigh of relief that it's not the Eevee girl who does nothing but spam Helping Hand every turn. You lose these raids when the team has a Pokemon faint 4 times, and my girlfriend's biggest struggle wasn't losing her own Pokemon, but rather her teammates throwing the fight. This game might not have an evil team leader in the traditional sense, but I can tell you with confidence that Martin and his Solrock are the uncontested antagonists of my girlfriend's playthrough.
Frickin' Martin's here. I know, he doesn't do jack shit. He just wastes my lives.
Martin has this cute and quirky thing he likes to do where he'll spend every turn boosting his Solrock with moves like Cosmic Power and Rock Polish, only for the Raid Mon to dispel all stat boosts at the end of the turn. Honestly, I don't know what Game Freak was thinking when they designed this guy. The cynical part of me thinks it was an evil ploy to make money by making people buy Nintendo Online, but the optimistic side of me wants to believe that Martin is based off of one of the devs who just really loves Solrock.
God damn it, Martin.
Having horrible RNG and growing tired of fighting a bunch of raid battles over and over again, she decided to just wing the Dragon Gym and go on without an ice move. The Drake and Fish fossils are only 1% fines, but no one tell her I think her main problem was she was talking to the wrong brother.
He can do it too?
Either way, she didn't want to get over-leveled, which is a fair point. The 8th gym is interesting. All the battles are double battles, and each opponent focuses on using weather-based teams. Double battles are always nerve-wracking in Nuzlocke because you never know when one of the opponents is going to double in on a single one of your Pokemon and take them out.
Also water pulse? That was also a crit? Okay.
The Rain and Hail teams were pretty light work, but surprisingly, it was the Fire team that caused her the most trouble.
You little shit.
Upon closer inspection, it makes sense given that half her team has a fire weakness. Considering Leon has been running around showing off his Charizard the entire game, I sure hope she can figure out a solution to that problem before the finals.
Okay, that was terrifying, but we did it.
Anyways, Raihan the gym leader follows the same theme as the trainers leading up to him. His gym battle is a double battle, and he uses a Sandstorm team.
Oh wait, is it a double battle?
Honestly, I wish there were more double battle gyms in Pokemon in general because they're always so fun and challenging to puzzle out. Watching Girl try and predict what the next moves are going to be makes me appreciate the format a lot more than I realized because so much can happen in a single turn.
The crunching, I think he's going to try and get the flinch.
With that being said, she had a very solid strategy going into this fight. Her plan was to use her Flatiron as a wall and then swap the second member of her team around depending on what coverage she needed.
I kind of just want to like solo into Sandaconda with like the drum type grass attacks and just leave Flygon alone because he's just crunching. He's obsessed with Flat Iron. He's just crunching.
After setting up an iron defense, Flat Iron could take most hits on the chin without much fuss. His Sandstorm immunity was just the icing on the cake. Rillaboom was a good choice of partner for him since Razor Leaf hits both Pokemon in a double battle. Despite being a dragon trainer, half of Raihan's team is ground, likely for the synergy with Sandstorm, but regardless, it makes grass almost as useful a typing as ice.
This is wild, having a gym leader be a double battle.
Girl was smart and timed things so she could knock out both his Pokemon at the same time so that his ace would come in and Dynamax all by itself.
That was perfect. Oh, good work, Bongos!
With Duraludon out, Bongos had served his purpose, and it was time to leave things up to the bird. Both Flat Iron and Delta are part Steel type, so they're immune to sand, and most importantly, they resist Dragon.
Oh, good work. Okay, good work. That was a crit! I just got Gigantamax crit! Flat Iron, amazing!
Even after Gigantamaxing, the ace couldn't put a dent in her Steel types. After stalling out his transformation, my girlfriend did a Dynamax of her own and let her Stunfisk clean things up.
Max Quake! Flat Iron, my boy! With the help of Delta and Bongos.
With that battle finished, she finally has collected all 8 gym badges. Unlike the traditional format, the Galar League doesn't have her climbing through Victory Road and battling the Elite Four. Instead, she's asked to head to Winden to compete in a tournament where she has the opportunity to battle her way to the championship match.
You've collected all the gym badges from the Galar region. I got all the gym badges! Now win your way through the semifinals and finals for your chance to challenge Leon. Leon! Okay, that sounds different.
She'll be rematching several of the gym leaders as well as many of her rivals and fellow competitors from her journey. It's an interesting break from the formula, and there are things I like and dislike about it. On the positive end, it's fun seeing some of the earlier gym leaders with more powered up teams making a return. On the other hand, it is a bit of a drag battling her rivals again since she's been doing that throughout the entire game. And it's a shame we don't get 4 new type specialists before the big finale to keep things fresh.
This music is so cool. See you in Winden, mate.
That's not to say the Pokemon Sword doesn't still have some surprises up its sleeve, but let's let her fight her way through the semis before we get into that.
Save. I had Minecraft out here because I was like, I feel like it's going to be ice types. No, the guys don't care. Maybe the encounters, sure, but the guys don't care.
Even with all 8 gym badges, the journey north is a rough one. My girlfriend has some glaring flaws in her team, and this late in the adventure, it's getting difficult to ignore. For one thing, she's rolling with only physical attackers, and in desperate need of some specially gifted Pokemon. Pretty much no one on her team can take a special attack, and set mode has made it tremendously difficult for her to evolve for this poor Farfetch'd.
I need someone that I'm tanky against that I can just crit against.
It's hard because my girlfriend loves all the Pokemon on her team, but she came to the conclusion she loved them enough to not let them get sent to the farm. So with that, it's time for a rebuild.
Whoa! I made it to the town! Yo, this is so cool.
The good news is she's been skipping a ton of encounters, so there's lots of good places to look.
Bacon? Were you there when I caught Bacon?
First, I tipped her off about the gift Toxel over at the nursery that she missed.
Yeah, he's just sitting here. Hi, little buddy. You want to join my team? Thank you!
She's been using Duchess as her electric type, but Toxicity is a good mixed attacker and comes with an additional poison typing to help deal with those pesky fairies.
I can name it Brittany, because Brittany seems toxic.
Next on her list was to find a good special wall. She asked me where to catch that cake Pokemon from the fairy gym, and I warned her that it was a pretty rare encounter on Route 4.
Okay.
Because you can only find her in the grass, she's not wandering.
Oh. That's tricky.
I was flipping through Bulbapedia trying to find an alternative suggestion, but when she went to go find her encounter on that route, this happened.
Yeah, he just wanted to join my team, so he came running at me.
Does girlfriend luck truly know no bounds? Future boy here. I was going over the footage to try and figure out what happened here. It looked like she ran into Milcery in the overworld, but that doesn't make sense since they can't appear as visible encounters. Upon closer inspection, I think that's an Electrike, and she just barely missed him by getting Milcery in the grass. Neat. I guess this is just RNG swinging the other way after all the time she spent suffering on that fossil hunt. Anyway, she's got plenty of XP candies lying around from the raid battle she did during that grind, so she can get these two leveled up real quick and draft them for the upcoming tourney.
Okay. Oh! Whoa! Tiramisu wants to evolve! She looks so cute!
Unfortunately, these new members come at the cost of some others. Farfetch'd is hitting the bench and she can't figure out how to evolve him, and Stiltskin, who is now called Eren Yeager, is going to swap out with her Alcremie.
That's definitely Eren Yeager. As a Titan, no one can convince me.
Her first two matches are semifinals against Marnie and Hop, and they go about the same as all the other times she's fought them this adventure. The main difference is they can Dynamax since we're in the stadium, but the same strategies still work. There's really not much else to comment on these battles, other than they were a good show of her new team's abilities.
Oh my gosh, he looks so good. It's Eren Yeager.
After taking those two out, she earns a spot in the finals bracket, and those will take place the following day. Leon offers to take her out to dinner with Hop to celebrate, beating his brother, I guess?
Yo, what's up, Leon?
Well, my girlfriend isn't one to turn down free food. Things seem odd, though, when Leon is a no-show.
Several hours later, did we get stood up?
They head to Rose Tower to investigate and bring along the Team Yell gang. Rose's assistant, Oleana, meets them out front and is acting mega suspicious.
What a beautiful display of sibling love. However, it is entirely unnecessary. Miss Oleana.
They gotta track down an employee with the key in order to gain access to the tower. This section is fun because Team Yell has switched to cheering my girlfriend on, and she gets stat boosts from them in battle.
Yeah!
All the Macrocosmos employees use steel types, which I wonder if they're hiring. Girl should send them a resume. Anyways, after walloping the one with the key 3 times, Piers throws an impromptu concert to corner him so that they can finally gain access to the tower.
They're dancing! Everyone's coming! The way is cleared!
She and Hop have to battle their way up the tower in a series of double battles. Waiting for them at the top is Olenna, and she's furious.
Uh-oh. She's so terrifying. I'm fighting a grown-ass woman. She's nuts.
My girlfriend claims she always knew that that woman seemed suspicious, but also admitted that she still really liked her earrings.
Ah! I knew I had bad vibes from her.
Olenna has a pretty strong team filled with tons of elegant Pokemon, but the real irony is that her ace is a Gigantamaxing Garbodor.
This is crazy. Oh my gosh. She looks possessive. Look at how giant Garbodor is. He's Gigantamax. He has a boat on him.
There's some kind of symbolism here about a beautiful woman hiding something sour and poisonous underneath, but girl just thought it was ironic that her employees' Pokemon are all immune to her ace.
Oh, Trubbish. Oleana, I'd like to see the chairman now.
After taking Olenna out, she can finally eavesdrop on Rose and Leon's PowerPoint presentation. Conversation.
Chairman, what are your goals, dude? This is just a painting. That's literally just a painting!
Apparently, there's an energy crisis in Galar, and Rose is concerned that he's the only one taking steps towards remedying it. Leon basically tells him the truth is a little inconvenient, given the tournament is tomorrow, and takes us all home. Surely this is the last we'll hear of this.
There are times when adults just can't seem to have an honest discussion with one another. Sometimes our pride just gets in the way. Rose, I feel like you're, taking things a little out of context there, bud.
The next day is the finals, and sort of the closest thing this game has to an Elite Four. My girlfriend will have to rematch 3 gym leaders in order for a chance to fight Leon for the championship. She's all ready to rock and roll with her first match when suddenly Bede rushes the field and challenges her with his new fairy-typed team. He's been studying under Opal and is apparently a reformed trainer, but he decides to stake his entire career on petty revenge.
A moment, if I may. Does anyone here even remember me? I am Bede, the challenger who was forced to withdraw from the gym challenge. Bede, this is official business. I don't think you can just waltz up here. Who let this man in?
Leon decides to allow it, probably because he's scared of battling my girlfriend, and with that, the match is underway. Unfortunately for Bede, Terran and her steel types are the reason that all fairies live in fear.
Nice.
With Bede dealt with, she has 3 more rematches to tackle. Nessa remains fairly simple since the grass starter has a solid type advantage over her team, but the addition of Toxicity makes her even easier than the first time. Bia's fight follows a similar pattern, but instead of using Delta, she decided to give Tiramisu a chance to shine. Since Bia runs a very physical, heavy team, she set up a couple of acid armors at the start of the fight and then dazzling gleamed her way to victory.
Bye, Flex!
Raihan is her last fight before she gets to fight Leon himself, and he swapped his team around to run a Sun and Rain team. To be honest, the Sandstorm team was a lot more dangerous, and the fact that this isn't a double battle really undermines how tough Raihan was in his actual gym battle.
Sorry, Raihan. I'm gonna be the one to challenge the champion. Good work, Delta!
Now that she's battled her way through the bracket, it's finally time to battle with Leon himself.
Do this. Leon, I'm gonna go challenge Leon. I'm coming for you.
This fight has been a long time coming, but just as they step out on the green, there's an interruption.
Wait, hold on. Wait, audience, what? Look at the monitor. What's on the big screen? What's going on? Rose! Hello there, Leon Ontarni. Just letting you know. I think it's time I brought about the darkest day for the sake of Galar's future, of course. What? I'm in a bit of a pickle. The energy released by the darkest day is too much for us to contain. Whoa! He's literally bringing forth the darkest day, but why? I'm sorry it's come to this, but it's you who forced my hand, Leon. You refused to listen.
Rose has decided to go through with his plan to invoke the darkest day. He believes that by doing so, he can solve the energy crisis and save Galar.
I'm coming with you. Let me just change out of my little uniform.
As a countermeasure, Hop suggests we go back to the woods from the start of the game and try asking the legendary Pokemon there for help. I guess that's not a bad idea, so let's hop to it.
They're calling it the darkest day? It's thrown everything into disarray. That did rhyme, Mum.
After cutting through the thick fog, my girlfriend finds the Pokemon she fought, and it turns out there's a second one.
Yo! Whoa, wait, they're both here. The sword and the shield Pokemon. His mane looks kind of like a shield.
She and Hop follow them deeper into the Weald and find a shrine with a rusty sword and shield. My girlfriend picks the sword because this is not Kingdom Hearts.
They'll bring us luck at the very least.
With rusted medieval weaponry in hand, our next stop is Motostoke, where Oleana asks my girlfriend to go into the basement and find Rose before the building collapses on top of him.
I know this is selfish of me, but I must beg your assistance. I want you to head to the underground power plant and stop Mr. Rose.
My girlfriend agrees to risk her life and go into the basement to try and get him to come out. When she finds him, he's standing in front of a giant eggshell belonging to a Pokemon named Eternatus.
Rose! I need to talk to you. Stop this madness at once.
Apparently, he was feeding it wishing stones to wake it up, and Leon is on top of the tower now trying to catch it. Instead of letting my girlfriend go watch, he challenges her to a battle.
I'm fighting the chairman. Rose, I've come to do battle. Macrocosmos' Rose! Ah!
Rose is a man after my girlfriend's own heart because he is also a fellow Steel-type trainer.
Oh, man. A fellow Steel-type trainer!
That being said, there can be only one, and my girlfriend decides to put his mettle to the test.
Yeah, all of his minions were also Steel-type trainers. God, I love the Steel-type.
It's funny how they were worried about the building collapsing up above. Meanwhile, my girlfriend and Rose are exchanging max quakes in a battle between titans down below.
I went first. Max Quake. Now it's his turn. Okay. Good work, Flatiron.
In the end, though, my girlfriend proves to have the more tempered steel, and Rose admits defeat.
He's clapping for me! I'd forgotten how great Pokemon battles are. It's been so long since I battled. That sure was satisfying.
Now up on the roof, my girlfriend arrives just in time to witness Leon capture the Eternatus. She's quick to point out, though, that even on a champion salary, all he can afford is a regular Pokeball. Maybe he's planning to mash B.
Dude, could you at least try an Ultra Ball?
I know that Leon gets a lot of flack for his Charizard, and that Charizard's always getting the spotlight over pretty much every Pokemon sans Pikachu. But easily the most badass moment in this entire game is when Leon's Charizard Baymaxes the player in Hop.
No! That was so cool.
With Leon maybe incapacitated from that blast, it's up to my girlfriend to fight Eternatus.
He was protecting us. She's so scared. Eternatus appeared. Oh my god. go, Flatiron. I know you can do it.
This thing is a poison dragon type, which has Stunfisk written all over it. The one dangerous move that can hurt Stunfisk is Flamethrower, but this thing attacks pretty sporadically thanks to it being Berserk. My girlfriend has this cheeky little strategy where she uses Dig on Stunfisk to get 2 turns of leftover heals for every one of her opponent's attacks. It's a surprisingly effective strategy, especially on the physical attackers. Too bad this legendary only has special moves, but this isn't your ordinary Stunfisk.
We took it down. Good job, Flatiron. Whoa! What is going on? We can't let it get away. Oh no.
Defeating Eternatus isn't the end of this encounter, because now it's going to Dynamax. Or Giganta. No, sorry, this is Eternamaxing.
This is like a raid arena. What are you doing? Oh my god! Ah!
This has become a raid battle, and thankfully we have Hop, whose Wooloo is only slightly more useful than Martin's Solrock.
Yo, this is like a raid! Eternatus! Oh, this is so fun.
There's no way to attack this thing the first few turns of battle, but then the duo remembers their sword and shield they found.
Forgot, we found the sword and shield of the slumbering wield. Yo, wait, what? Okay. Are we gonna do something with that Hop? Ah! Tardy, use that sword. It might be old and rusted, but there's got to be some use to it. I got it. Leave it to me, Plip. Oh my god, are those the... They're back! Did we just summon them? Oh my gosh. Hop and I, we're doing our best. Oh! Yo! Oh my god, this is so cool! The Pokemon are coming to protect us, Hop! Yo! The pieces are forming! Yo! Oh my god, are they about to Dynamax? Oh my god. They're taking on a special form! Ah, Sif! This is so fun! The Pokemon from Legends! And then little Stunfisk!
Now that the 2 legendaries are here, the battle can actually go somewhere.
Okay, now we'll dig.
Zamazenta and Zacian are really doing most of the fighting here. My girlfriend's main strategy is staying alive, aka hope that Eternatus attacks Hop.
Whoa!
Zacian has a move called Behemoth Blade, which hits Dynamax Pokemon for double damage.
Whoa! Yo! That was so sick! Good work!
All she can really do to help is spam Dig and pray that if a Max Flare comes out, it hits while she's underground.
Oh, no! Flat Iron! My buddy!
Pour one out for our fallen warrior. Rest in peace, Flatiron. I'm told you weren't just a good steel type, but the best one.
I really never got good about being weak to fire, huh?
The dogs finish out the fight for her, and she's given a shot at catching Eternatus at the end. Even still, not even a massive harbinger of the apocalypse can fill the hole left in her heart at the loss of her favorite team member.
Is it gonna work? Come on. Come on. It's shaking. It's shaking. Okay. I caught it! Good work, Hop. Flatiron, I couldn't have done it without you.
So what now? Well, 3 days have passed in-game since the darkest day, and it's time to go for the championship once again. She's marching into the hardest fight in the game, down an important member of her team though.
Flatiron and Yarny.
While any normal player would look at the giant world-ending Eternatus in the box and think, why don't I just bring him into the battle? Girl is not a normal player. Good luck convincing her to make the Pokemon responsible for killing her favorite a Hall of Famer.
It's so funny how giant this Pokemon is. It's like outside of this little box.
So instead, she did something completely unexpected and grabbed Bacon the Sizzlipede, which she caught all the way back in Kabu's gym challenge.
He looks amazing! Eee, extra crispy.
I guess her plan was having an extra fire type might help resist Charizard, but I think she forgot that Bacon was still weak to flying types.
Whoa, look at that attack is boosted. That's a good nature.
To be honest, I'm pretty sure the real reason was she just didn't want to go catch more Pokemon. She dumped whatever remaining XP candy she had into him and went into the championship match with fire in her heart.
I'm finally challenging the champion. Whoa, he took off his cape. The wiggle! Crispy Bacon. Bacon's feeling crispy. It's one of the duties of the champion to get the crowd fired up. Those are some little shorts, my Lee. Nice. Good work, Bacon. I expect nothing less from your team. Okay. Nice. Oh! Using Shadow Ball. Go work, Bacon. That was a crit. Good work, Bacon. Okay, what are you bringing out next, Lee? So this control is pretty high level. Come on, bongos! Play those bongos! Yeah! Good work, bongos! That's the fire starter! Yeah. He looks like he belongs in the stadium. He's kicking fire at me! That was a cool move. Bye, Cinderace! Thanks for playing. Okay, it's time for Delta to shine. Haxorus is such a cool Pokemon. Didn't I name mine Hatchet? Come on, Delta! Good work, Delta. Whoa. That's the pseudo? He looks so cool! She's so cute. What's she doing? Flamethrower. She can take it. She has the leftovers! Flatiron is carrying on! Bye, Dragapult! Oh! I'm not finished having a champion time here! I won't let anyone else win! The rocks! I'll show you what Charizard can really do! It's Gigantamax time! I cannot wait to see what Charizard looks like. I haven't seen it since the very beginning of the journey. Whoa! He's so cool! He's looking at me! Max Rock Fall!
Oh, I ate that up. Tiramisu ate that for breakfast. And he's buffeted by his own sandstorm. The leftovers, Flatiron's leftovers. You don't mess with the cake. You don't mess with the cake. Tiramisu, we're having our cake and eating it too. I beat Lee! Hop, did you see me? I beat Lee! So excited! She's like, I was beaten by a Blondie and Frosting. What a good sport. My time as champion is over, but what a champion time it's been. That's awesome.
And there it is. Another region conquered, another champion crowned, and another generation for the history books. I know these games have had their fair share of criticism since their release, but man did I realize something watching Girl play. These games are really fun. They are an absolute blast.
The crowd goes wild.
I remember playing them when they came out and being frustrated at things like Dexit and how it was too linear and what happened to Mega Evolution. It all feels silly now.
I won!
I can't even begin to imagine what it would have felt like being a kid and seeing my Pokemon Dynamax for the first time. For every one of us playing this series for the 8th time, there's someone out there picking it up as their first. I know I haven't felt the whimsical magic of this series since I was up late at night hiding my Game Boy under my covers so that Mom didn't know I was still playing. In large part, that's what's fun about Terran's adventures to me. She has that warm, childlike wonder over everything she stumbles into.
Because I had Minecart, and then he brought out a Steelix, and so he crashed, but then the Steelix dug, so he was underground. So I went out to my bird, and he couldn't touch him.
She gets excited over things in games that I wouldn't even bat an eye over. And I'm enthralled by it, not because it reminds me of what games used to be, but of who I used to be. Watching her play is like that scene with the critic in Ratatouille. Every time she sits down, I feel like that little kid under the covers again. It's crazy to think she's only got a couple more generations to go, but I want to take this as an opportunity to thank everyone who's been a part of the journey so far. If you want to support us and our channel, liking and subscribing would help us out immensely. You can be a part of videos as they get made by visiting us over on Twitch, where we stream Terran's many adventures 3 days a week. Also consider becoming a channel member or patron, as it helps Terran and I continue to do what we do. Extra special thanks to all these lovely people who were responsible for choosing Pokemon Sword for this month, and a big shout out to our 6 Wheel supporters: Daniel Rogers, Gizmo, Isaac Vogan, David Webb, Mace, Gray is Sleepy, Taco Supreme, Barav Skittles, Envy, Cry, Regulus, Serenosane, Blaze of Fire, Mist the Fox, Blondes, Jason, Shane Boy, and Cerberus.
Thank you, everyone! Ah! You're welcome!
I can't believe we're almost out of generations to play, but maybe if we ask nicely, Terran can take a detour and become a legend along the way.
Yo! I'm the title screen now! What's up, team? I'm on the title screen! I feel so important, but I guess I am. I'm the champion!